Hi, my name is Henry Lee, and for the week 8 video, I'm going to talk about large language models and their thinking and reasoning limitations. In the video that we saw, um, we learned that AI doesn't really think, but like it's using something called probabilistic matching uh, to find similar problems in their training data and apply those steps. For example, Susan buys 12 apples. If she eats 5 apples and paints 4 apples, how many apples does she have? And a real person would have assumed 7 because from the 12, she only eats 5. She would have 7 apples left. Painting 4 apples does not change or does not remove the apples from the count. The apples are still there, just in a different color. And as you can see here, the AI subtracted it from the 5 and the 4. All the numbers they saw, it applied them, and that's how you got 3. And this is not correct, because as I mentioned, painting the apples does not remove them from the count. The reason why this happened is because probabilistic matching, where it looked at its training data for a problem that had like a similar format, and it applied it, and it copied the exact same steps, even though uh, the problems look the same, but were not exactly the same. These had caveats, but these caveats did not affect the problem. In the training data, the caveat probably did affect the problem, and that's why it subtracted it. And so it incorrectly assumed that in this problem the caveat will affect the calculation, and that's why it subtracted it, even though like it did not apply in this particular problem. The AI is not thinking; it's just looking at problems that are similar enough in the training data and apply those steps. And that's how we got a wrong answer of 3. We could also try another example, like if she is right and 4 apples fall on the ground. Again, like 4 apples fall to the ground, but like it does not affect um, the amount that she has because she can just pick them up. So in this like part, the apples falling, they should not be there. But it's still applying them because in the problems that it is in his training data, it is like subtracting stuff. And I think the reason for this is because, or like in this particular situation, I think it sees the painting as like reducing the quality of the apple, because if you paint apples, you're no longer able to eat it. So I think the AI is correlating that negativity with like actually like subtracting it from the count. Like likewise in here, when the apple falls to the ground, like it's dirty, you don't eat it. And I think that's why it assumes that like it's being subtracted from the overall apples. So it is somehow relating the negativity with reducing apples of the count. I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video, but the video that we looked during class was called "Can AI Think? Debunking AI Limitations" by IBM Technology. In that video, we also looked at 2 solutions for the problems that we talked about earlier. And the 2 solutions are like training time compute and computing time. Oh, my bad. It's training time inference and computing time inference. And okay, for the training time inference, we basically give the model, we train the model with better training data. So we give them problems where the caveats affect the problem, and other problems where the caveats do not affect the problem. And if you give it enough of both of either, the model will be able to decipher or like be able to like differentiate when does the caveat affect the calculation and whether the caveat does not affect the calculations. And then the opposite of training time inference is computing time inference. And basically, we ourselves train the model instead of the training data. So in this, we interact with the AI. We give them examples, and it will slowly learn from those examples. And we use something called chain of thought prompting. We just give it like a lot of prompts here, and we teach them what to do, the steps, and and from the steps and from the examples that we give them, it will able to like to differentiate when does the caveat and the caveat does not like impact the calculations. So for example, Susan buys 12 apples. Um, if she eats 5 apples and then 4 apples, how many does she have? Okay, what if instead of like uh, okay, so what if instead of painting 4 apples, she washes 4 apples? And okay, I think this should work. We're giving it like an easy problem. Okay, I thought this would have worked. Um, oh, I forgot to train it. My bad. So we're given a problem where the caveat does not affect the thing. So let's see. Uh, Susan buys 4 apples, and if she eats 5 apples and 4 apples are small, how many apples does she? Okay, 4 apples are small, so that should not like it should be easy enough that we don't have to tell them the steps, but it should be able to tell. And as you can see, it is simple enough that like the computer knows that the caveats do not affect the overall calculation. And we keep like using chain of prompt dot prompting. So we just chain more prompts or give more prompts where the caveat does not affect it. So some 4 apples. If 4 apples are, let's see, what can we say? If 4 apples are yellow, yeah, the fact that okay, so I think this should be enough examples that the caveats are not affected. Let's see, let's go back to the example. Like we just copied the exact same prompt from earlier, and let's see if we're able to like differentiate whether washing the apples affected or not. And as you can see, the exact same prompt, I just copy and pasted it, but washing is not, unless I wash, we should not specify here. Okay, so from the previous prompts, we we thought it like when does the caveat affected or the caveats are not affected. And so this series of repeated prompts I call chain of thought prompting, and it is part of a computing time inference. Yeah, and in this way, you yourself are training the model instead of the training, instead of like the training time compute. But the difference between like training time compute and no, training time inference and computing time is that computing time inference only works on this particular session, only, because it requires a prompt from the user, a chain of prompts, prompting. So once you restart the machine, it will forget everything because it doesn't have your previous prompts. Whereas with training time compute or no training time inference, like the thinking or like the simulation of thinking will be there or will be kept because like you're changing the training data. The model will always have access to the training data, no matter the session. You open a browser, it will still have the same training data, and but it doesn't have the prompts which are like exclusive to you. And that's between training time inference and computing time inference. Training time, better training data, and with computing time inference, you have better prompts. One of them is permanent, and the other one is just limited to this particular session because it's just user prompts. Thank you.